If you're a solo worship leader or performer and you're looking for a cheap and easy way to add some interest to your sound, stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Mina Studio. I am Nathan Drake, and with me as always is my tech director, Ronald. Thank you, Ronald. Today we're going to talk about pads, what they're for, where do you get them, and how do you use them. So a synth pad in general is just a long, droning, atmospheric sound that you can produce with a synthesizer. The pads we're talking about today are already made sound files containing these synth pads in certain keys that you can play under your music. They're usually in MP3 or AIFF or WAV formats, just like a regular music file would be. So what are pads for? Well, in a worship context, they do two important things. The first thing they do is provide an atmosphere and an interest to our sound. Now, of course, this is not necessary for worship, but we're always striving to do our best. I think pads can help us to sound a little fuller up there. The second thing they do, and I think this is far more important, is they can provide support for singing. Sometimes when it's just a solo worship leader with a guitar or piano, people don't feel quite as confident in the key as they would with a full band. Now these pads can provide kind of a low droning key that people can latch onto. They can latch onto the key they're singing in, and they can feel more confident that they're singing well. We, of course, as worship leaders, always want to help people to feel confident and comfortable singing to God in a worship setting. Now, I've used pads from 3 different places, and they're all very good, and they kind of have different uses, and I will have the links to these pads in the description below. The first one is from Carl Verkad. Now, these pads are free to download. You can, of course, donate, which I always encourage you to do if you like them. And they're very broad pads. They have a lot of bass and treble and shimmering kind of in all of them. And the upside and downside is each pad sounds different from each other. They each have a unique character, which can be really nice, or if you're looking for consistency, can be not so nice. The next pads I'd recommend are from GS Productions. I got a 4-pack, it was a bundle, and it had cello pads, organ pads, shimmer pads, and mellow pads. They all sound really good. The cello pads and the organ pads are a little more specific in their sound. It won't sound great with all songs. But the mellow pads I use all the time. In fact, they're probably my most used pad. The shimmer pads sound really good, but just don't work usually for the style I'm going for, but might be really good for some of you guys. These pads do cost, but they're not very expensive, so I would go check them out. And the final place I'd recommend pads from is worshiptutorials.com. They have several different kinds of pads as well, and I believe they're around $15 for a set of pads, which is really cheap. All you really need to use these is an old cell phone or iPod or iPad or something like that, and a volume pedal. So plug an 1/8" cable into the headphone jack of your phone or iPod or iPad. Plug the other end of that cable into the input of your volume pedal. And then the output goes out to the sound system. Then you can make a set list of all the pads you need to use that week, play them, and you're ready to go. So pads are pretty easy to use, they're fairly cheap, and they're a good way to add some atmosphere and some support to your worship sound. I'd encourage you to go try them. They might not be your thing. You might not like them at all. And that's okay. We all have different styles. But at least give them a try and see what you think. Thank you so much for joining us here at Mina Studio. Ronald would like me to ask you to subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video so that you can see more tech tips and gear reviews for the small church.